Have you ever found yourself in a quiet room, maybe waiting for an appointment or sitting in a library, when suddenly, out of nowhere, you feel a big yawn coming on? It's almost as if the silence itself invites it. You try to stifle it, but before you know it, your mouth opens wide and you're yawning, even if you weren't tired a moment ago. And sometimes, just seeing someone else yawn or even thinking about yawning is enough to set you off. It's a feeling we all know, a sensation that's both familiar and a little mysterious. It's almost like a secret signal that everyone understands, no matter where you're from or how old you are. Yawning is something that unites us all, a tiny act that reminds us of our shared humanity. You might yawn first thing in the morning as you stretch and greet the day, or late at night when you're winding down and your body is telling you it's time to rest. But yawning isn't just about being sleepy. You might catch yourself yawning in the middle of a long, boring meeting, or while sitting through a class that seems to go on forever. Sometimes, it's your brain's way of coping with boredom or a lack of stimulation. What's truly fascinating is that yawning is one of the most common human behaviors, something that connects us all, from tiny babies to great-grandparents. It's a universal language, spoken without words, that every culture and every generation understands. And it's not just humans who yawn. Our pets do it too. Dogs, cats, and even animals you might not expect, like snakes and fish, are all known to yawn. It's a behavior that stretches across the animal kingdom, hinting at something ancient and deeply rooted in biology. In fact, yawning is a reflex that's been around for ages. If you look at old paintings or ancient sculptures, you might even spot people mid-yawn, showing that this simple act has been with us throughout history. But here's the big question: why do we do it? For something so ordinary, yawning is surprisingly mysterious. It's a habit we rarely question, but when you stop to think about it, it's kind of strange, isn't it? Scientists have been puzzled by yawning for years. Despite how common it is, the real reason behind it isn't as simple as you might think. There are lots of theories, but no single answer that explains it all. Yawning feels automatic, almost like breathing. Most of the time, we don't even notice we're doing it until someone points it out. It's just part of being alive. But science is all about asking questions, even about the things we take for granted. Why do we yawn when we're tired, bored, or even anxious? What's really going on inside our bodies and brains? Sometimes yawning is a clear sign that we're tired, like when you're up late studying or just waking up from a deep sleep. It's your body's way of telling you it needs rest. But it can also happen when we're feeling stressed or anxious, like before a big test or an important meeting. It's almost as if our bodies are trying to calm us down or reset our focus. And then there's the strangest trigger of all, seeing someone else yawn. Suddenly, it's like a chain reaction. One person yawns, and then another. And before you know it, the whole room is yawning. This contagious effect is one of the most curious things about yawning. This contagious yawning is a fascinating clue about how our brains work and how we connect with each other. It might even be linked to empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. So let's dive into the science of yawning. We'll explore old ideas, new theories, and the latest research to uncover what's really happening when we yawn. We'll look at how a simple yawn might help regulate brain temperature, how it could be connected to empathy, and what it reveals about the complexity of our bodies and minds. Even the smallest actions, like a yawn, can hold big scientific secrets. Sometimes, the most ordinary things are the most fascinating to explore. So, let's look at the evidence, ask questions, and figure this out together. Are you ready to discover the science behind yawning? Let's go! For generations, people have wondered why we yawn. The most popular explanation passed down for decades was that yawning helps us get more oxygen into our bodies. It seemed to make sense. After all, when we're tired or bored, we often take deep breaths, and yawning feels like a big, refreshing inhale. The idea was simple. When there's not enough oxygen in the air, or when carbon dioxide builds up in our blood, our bodies supposedly trigger a yawn to bring in more fresh air and get rid of the excess carbon dioxide. This respiratory hypothesis was taught in classrooms, written in textbooks, and accepted by most people as fact. It became one of those explanations that just felt right, even if few people ever questioned it. But science is all about curiosity and skepticism. Instead of just accepting ideas, scientists put them to the test, challenging what we think we know. So researchers designed experiments where people breathed air with extra carbon dioxide or sometimes with less oxygen to see if it would make them yawn more often. What they found was surprising. While people did start breathing faster in these conditions, the number of yawns didn't actually increase. Even when people breathed pure oxygen, which should have eliminated any need for more air, they still yawned just as much as before. These results were clear. Yawning wasn't about oxygen or carbon dioxide at all. The old explanation just didn't hold up under scientific scrutiny. The classic theory was busted. It was time to look for a new explanation, one that actually fit the evidence. This is the heart of science. We test, we learn, and when the facts change, we move on. It's a never-ending journey of discovery. So if yawning isn't about breathing or getting more oxygen, what could it be for? What purpose does it serve? The answer, as it turns out, is much cooler, literally. Scientists began to suspect that yawning might help regulate brain temperature. Get ready to explore a new theory that could change the way you think about this everyday mystery. Let's dive in and find out what yawning is really all about. If yawning isn't about oxygen, what's the real reason? For years, people believed that yawning was simply our body's way of getting more air when we felt tired or bored. But as scientists have dug deeper, they've discovered that the story is much more fascinating than that. Yawning, it turns out, is not just a sign of sleepiness or disinterest. There's a hidden purpose behind this everyday action. The leading theory now is all about temperature control. Researchers have found that yawning is closely linked to the way our bodies regulate heat, especially in the brain. This idea has changed the way we think about why we yawn and what's really happening inside our heads when we do. Your brain is like a supercomputer, running non-stop, even when you sleep. It's constantly processing information, solving problems, and helping you make sense of the world. Even during rest, your brain is busy organizing memories and preparing you for the next day. Like any machine, it generates heat and needs to stay cool to work well. If your computer overheats, it slows down or even shuts off. The same goes for your brain. If it gets too hot, its performance drops, and you start to feel sluggish or unfocused. If your brain gets too warm, you feel foggy or sleepy. You might notice it's harder to concentrate, or you start making little mistakes. This is your brain's way of telling you it needs a break and a cool down. Your body sweats to cool off, but your brain needs its own cooling system. Unlike your skin, your brain can't sweat, so it relies on other clever tricks to keep its temperature in check. Enter the yawn, a built-in air conditioner for your brain. When you yawn, you take in a big gulp of air, which helps cool the blood flowing to your brain. This simple act can make a surprising difference in how alert you feel. When your brain's temperature rises, a yawn helps bring it back down. The rush of cool air and the stretching of your jaw increase blood flow and help dissipate heat, almost like opening a window to let in a fresh breeze. That's why we yawn when we're tired. Our brain heats up before sleep. As you wind down for the night, your brain's activity changes and its temperature can rise, triggering a yawn to help you cool off and prepare for rest. Or when we're bored, our brain's temperature can fluctuate. When you're not engaged, your brain may become less efficient at regulating its own heat, leading to more yawns as it tries to stay balanced and alert. This brain cooling theory is supported by lots of evidence. Scientists have observed that animals and humans alike yawn more often when their brains are warmer and less when they're cooler. It's a pattern that holds true across many different situations and environments. People yawn more in warm environments, less in cold ones. If you've ever found yourself yawning on a hot day or in a stuffy room, you've experienced this effect firsthand. The environment around you can have a direct impact on how often you yawn. In studies, people with warm packs on their heads yawned more, with cool packs less. This simple experiment shows just how sensitive our brains are to temperature changes and how yawning acts as a quick fix. Yawning is a clever way to keep our brains at their best. It's not just a sign of boredom or tiredness. It's a built-in tool to help us stay sharp, focused, and ready for whatever comes next. It's a simple, elegant solution to a complex problem. The next time you catch yourself yawning, remember, your brain is working hard to keep you at your best, using one of nature's most ingenious tricks. So how does a yawn actually cool your brain? It's not just about breathing in air. When you yawn, you take a deep breath and stretch your jaw wide. The cool air you inhale helps lower the temperature of blood in your mouth and throat. But the real magic is in the jaw stretch. It increases blood flow to and from the brain. Like squeezing a hose, this stretch speeds up circulation, flushing out warm blood and bringing in cooler blood. The combination of cool air and increased blood flow acts like a radiator for your brain. So a yawn brings in cool air and swaps out hot blood for cool. An effective biological cooling system. Pretty ingenious, right? Now, let's talk about contagious yawning. Just seeing or hearing someone yawn can make you yawn too. This isn't just a funny quirk, it's a clue about our social nature. Contagious yawning is triggered by social cues, not just tiredness. Young children don't catch yawns, suggesting this reflex develops with social awareness. Scientists think contagious yawning is linked to empathy, the ability to understand others' feelings. When we mimic a yawn, we're syncing up with others, building social bonds. We're more likely to catch a yawn from friends or family than strangers. Even animals like chimpanzees and dogs catch yawns from their group. It's an ancient behavior that helps keep social groups connected. Let's dig deeper into contagious yawning and empathy. Mirror neurons in our brains fire when we do something, or see someone else do it. When you see a yawn, your mirror neurons activate, making you want to yawn too. This automatic response is tied to our ability to connect with others. Brain scans show that watching yawns lights up areas linked to empathy. People who score higher on empathy tests are more likely to catch yawns. Those with conditions like autism may be less susceptible, not because they lack empathy, but because their brains process social cues differently. A simple yawn reveals a lot about our social minds. Yawning isn't just about brain cooling. There are other triggers too. Drowsiness is a big one. We yawn before sleep and after waking. Yawning can also help us transition between alertness and sleepiness, giving a quick boost of focus. Some medications, like certain antidepressants, can make people yawn more, likely due to changes in brain chemicals. Rarely, excessive yawning can signal a medical issue, like a problem in the brainstem or heart. It's a reminder to pay attention to our bodies. Most yawns are harmless, but sudden, frequent yawning could be worth mentioning to a doctor. Yawning is a complex reflex with many influences. It's another example of how our bodies are full of surprises. There's another key player in yawning, the vagus nerve. This nerve connects your brain to your heart, lungs, and digestive system, controlling many automatic functions. When you yawn, the vagus nerve is stimulated, causing that stretching feeling in your chest and sometimes a change in heart rate. In rare cases, excessive yawning can be linked to heart issues because of the vagus nerve's influence. The vagus nerve also helps calm the body, part of the rest and digest system. That relaxing feeling after a yawn? Thank your vagus nerve. Yawning is deeply connected to our body's core systems. It's another piece of the puzzle. So, what have we learned? Yawning isn't just about needing air. It's a clever way to cool our brains and keep them sharp. Yawning is also a powerful social signal, rooted in empathy and connection. From sleep and medication to the vagus nerve, yawning is more complex than it seems. Science shows us that even everyday actions can reveal amazing secrets. Next time you yawn, remember, your body is doing something remarkable. Maybe your brain needs cooling, or maybe you're connecting with someone nearby. Stay curious. There's always more to discover. Even the simplest questions can lead to awesome answers.